Hey there guys, Dave Thomas, owner of Dave Thomas and the Dream Team here. A couple of weeks ago, we had actually made a video talking about how to pick the right home inspector. Actually, we made that video about the same time we made this video, but we're kicking it out weeks later thanks to movie magic. Today what we're gonna be talking about is actually the pitfalls of a general home inspection. We're gonna be talking about that right now. So I was cruising through the interwebs and I was just reading a couple of reviews about home inspectors, and I actually noticed that some home inspectors I've come to know to be very reputable had some very terrible reviews online. And as I started reading those reviews, I actually figured out why exactly that is because most home buyers don't understand what the pitfalls are of a general home inspection. The fact is there are some defects that certain homes might have that no inspector would have ever found. And so it's not necessarily your inspector's fault that these things get missed. One of the best examples I can think of is a property I helped a buyer purchase a couple of years back that actually happened to have polybutylene piping in it. But the situation was one of the previous owners had gone in and had actually spliced out all the sections of polybutylene piping you could actually see and replaced it with PEX, but didn't actually replace all of the polybutylene piping in the home. For those of you who don't know what polybutylene piping is, it was actually meant to replace copper piping. It was a great product except for one defect. The chlorine and fluoride in our water actually brittle it, which makes it a ticking time bomb for rupturing and flooding your man cave. The big issue here is, aside from the inspector going in and actually punching holes in the drywall in the home, there's no way any inspector with any amount of experience would have been able to go in there and see this polybutylene piping, and as such it was never found before the buyer got in there and purchased the property, and that buyer unfortunately got saddled with a $3,500 bill to replace the polybutylene piping in that home after it did in fact rupture and flood his very awesome man cave. This is an unfortunate situation, and unfortunately it does happen. There are bad sellers out there, and purchasing real estate has its own risks, just like purchasing any other investment. I'm looking at you, Bitcoin. You were $20,000 like a week ago, and now you're less than $8,000. That's more than 50% of your value. Even if you find polybutylene piping in your home, it's not gonna Bitcoin out of you and lose half of its value overnight. So while that was an unfortunate situation for that buyer, it can happen to anybody with any level of experience. For our 24 YouTube subscribers out there, thanks guys, who have been following our flip series, Bad Mother Flippers, you'll know that in the Bijou property, we had foundation issues. We had to redo the wiring. We had to redo the plumbing. And a lot of these were things that we weren't able to identify before closing on the home, and in fact didn't find until we started opening up those walls. So again, I invest in real estate, but I do acknowledge that when I'm buying real estate, there are some risks that come along with that, and it's just a part of doing business. However, with all that in mind, if you want to buy 439 East Bijou, it's gonna have new plumbing, new electrical, brand new foundation, and whoever gets it is getting one dope casa. Casa, Spanish for house. Peruvian John taught me that. Anyways, back to the point at hand. When I'm reading these reviews, you have to acknowledge that no inspector at any level is gonna go in and actually put holes in walls in a home. And as such, there's always gonna be some risk when buying a home because there's always gonna be some material defect there that no inspector would ever have found. It's just part of buying real estate. Just so you know, you also don't wanna, as a buyer, go in there and start putting holes in walls because the Colorado contract is very clear that any damage done to a property during the inspection is the buyer's responsibility. So with that in mind, when you're buying real estate, you just have to acknowledge the risks, but don't let that deter you from buying a new home. Real estate has made more millionaires than any other investment.
You're absolutely right!
And the vast majority of homeowners in the US say that they're pleased with their decision to purchase a home. As always, guys, if you are thinking about buying a home, you're thinking about selling a property, purchasing an investment, if you have questions about inspections or inspectors or what a general home inspection even does in its scope, please feel free to call this number, shoot us a text. You can always email us here. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can even visit us at daveandthedreamteam.com. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Now I'm out here looking like revenge, feeling like a 10, the best I ever been. And
Pumped! I'm in the zone. It's a Mountain Dew.
Out here looking like regret, ain't too proud to beg second.